Welcome back, Hive Mind. This is Shalazar with Hive Mind Gaming, coming at you with another Summoner's Glory video. Today, this is our next installment of our beginner series. We're going to take a look at what my top 10 things I wish I knew when I began the game. All right, so let's get into it. But first, let's talk about you creating a character for Summoner's Glory. If you're new to Summoner's Glory and you want to start your own account, make sure when you get to this screen where you're creating your character, whether it be male or female, down here at the bottom it'll be a promo code, a spot for a promo code. Put promo code Shalazar in there, and that will help support the channel and get you some free swag. And that's the important part, right? You getting free swag. So just make sure you stick it right in there, Shalazar, while you're creating your character. If you pass this point, you won't be able to go back. So make sure you get it in there before you hit the create button. So, all right, back to our regular scheduled program. All right, so first on our list, and these are in no particular order. I just went through, looking through the game, going, man, I wish I knew that at the very beginning when I first started my account. So these are the things that I wish I knew, and I hope that it helps you. Some of these things you may already know, but there may be some things that might hit a chord and just make more sense when it's explained. So the first thing is the world map. So when you go on here and you click that right there, the cool thing about this, let's say you want to go to the blacksmith. Well, you don't necessarily have to go and click the blacksmith here in your activity log. You can actually go here and just click in that general location, and your character will automatically run to that location. So another cool thing about this, I mean, this is pretty simple. This kind of teaches you in your quest line when you're doing your quest, but the thing that it doesn't teach you is down here the world map. If you click that in there in the corner, it'll pop up this cool map of the whole world, and as you can tell, it's starting to get bigger. There's more room to even grow. So if there's a specific thing that you want to do, like, I don't know, go and farm some of your some of your just monsters, farm just regular creatures to level up, then all you've got to do is just click and it sends you right. Doesn't cost you any gold, nothing. There's just no extra cost, no extra anything. It's just a quick way to get places without dealing with going and figuring out where the quests are and clicking on them. All right, which actually brings us to the next item, which is the quest. You can actually go in here and click on your quests, and if there's a specific place you want to go to, then without going to the world map, let's say you just don't know where it is on the world map, you can just come in here and you can click on your quest, and it'll take you right to where you need to go to do that quest. So pretty simple. The thing that really helps with that is the warrants. The warrants is where I really use that a lot. So if I go in here and I go to King's Warrants, and I click on the warrants here, and I accept one of these hunt quests. It doesn't matter which one. And then now, so normally it pops it up as the very next thing because it was the last thing you do. It will always have your story quest on top, and then usually the last thing that you're working with. So I'm not sure why it doesn't have it there. So we're going to go to warrant, and we're going to go to, and it's going to take me to do my warrant. Great thing about warrants is it just does the quest for you on the hunts. So check out my warrants video if you want to learn more, if you haven't already watched it. But great thing is that's the way it works. So We're just going to stop right there so we can move on with our video. Let's not get into a fight here. All right. So next is our do the story. Constantly do your story. If you get to a point in your storyline where you can't beat whatever it is that it's telling you to do, like right here, this story, because that's where I'm at. I can't beat this thing that I've got to fight for this part of the story. So what you're going to do is you're going to constantly be doing your other things, your dailies, your warrants, your leveling up your champion, your phantoms. That's the most important thing. Constantly be evolving your phantoms. I'll be doing a beginner's guide on evolving phantoms later, but so keep an eye out for it. But constantly evolve your your phantoms, because that's highly important. And then once you get to a point where you're more comfortable about beating whatever your storyline is telling you, then go and do it. So constantly do storyline. And the reason I say that is because things unlock with your storyline. As with most games, it's based on your level. With this game, most of the stuff that it unlocks based on where you're at in the story. So make sure you're constantly working on your story. All right, so next is equip your gear and your runes. And so in a lot of games that you play, when you're equipping gear and runes, unfortunately, Raid Shadow Legends is like this, and Summoner's War and things like that. When you equip your gear, to unequip it, it costs you resources. Well, in this game, it doesn't. So if you go into your backpack here, and you've got the gear on your champion here, you can just switch out the gear with no problem. So it does not matter. It does not affect anything other than your stats. And that's the thing, that it only affects your stats. And an important thing is it also affects your phantoms, because remember, 5% of all of your stats are inherited by your phantom. So the higher your stats are on your champion, the higher the stats for your phantom. So keep that in mind. So you also want to pay attention to what the gear bonuses are. So if you've got gear bonuses that add pluses to certain types of phantoms, obviously you want to make sure those are the type of phantoms that you're running, so that you gain the most benefit from your gear. And you want to make sure that if you're giving bonuses to specific damage dealing champions like magic damage or physical damage, make sure that those are the phantoms that you're running. So gear is very important in this game, very important. And then when it comes to your actual phantoms, runes are most important. So for instance, if you pull up a phantom here, you've got runes. Make sure you're constantly reviewing the runes that you have and constantly upgrading, because there's always when you first start the game, absolutely, if you pull a common rune, don't be afraid to use it. And the reason is because it just doesn't matter. It does not matter. Like in other games like Summoner's War and Raid Shadow Legends, you equip that gear, then you find better gear, then it costs you silver to pull it off. So it's just better just to run without gear in the beginning. This game is totally different. It doesn't cost you to change gear. So you just put on whatever runes you have, and then when you get better, just switch it out. It doesn't cost you anything. So that's a great aspect to this game. So just remember, always put your gear on immediately. All right, so the next thing is play with whatever rarity you have. So if you look at, let's say, we'll go with this guy. So if you look at Ambassador of Light, and you pull up his you pull up his SS tier champion and you look at his abilities, the abilities are exactly the same. There is zero difference between all of the skills. So 105, 110, 120. Now, if we look at Ambassador of Light, $105, $110, $120. The skills are exactly the same, guys. So there's no difference. The only difference is its base stats. So if you have a champion that you really like and really want, and you only have an S tier, don't be afraid to use it. Now, am I saying go out and level him up and make him a rank 6 a phantom? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying play with them. Play with them all you want. Now, I will tell you this. If you do have an S tier champion and you really like him and you haven't pulled the SS tier and you want to rank him up, then do it. And the reason is because it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to max out all their skills as an S tier champion. So keep that in mind. Absolutely keep that in mind. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having a rank 6 S tier champion at all. Now, is it better to have SS? Of course. Of course it is. But there's nothing wrong with having just a basic S tier. All right, so let's move on to my number 6. My number 6 is don't waste resources. So in the beginning, I wasted so much resources, energy, and everything else trying to get more gold. You don't need it in the beginning because you don't use your gold for hardly anything in the beginning. So don't waste resources, don't waste energy, don't waste anything on gems or energy on getting more gold. Now, don't waste your gold either. So, I mean, don't buy things that you just don't need to buy. When it comes to the trove is not a bad thing to use your resources on. And the black market. Now, a lot of content creators will tell you that the black market's not worth it. It's not worth your investment. But here's the thing. In the beginning, it is. When they're telling you it's not worth it, they're looking at it from a standpoint of they're more mid to end game. Well, of course, mid to end game won't find it to be, useful to them because they're farming purple items. So this blue item ain't going to do anything for them. But for you, where you're only able to farm green items, this blue item is fantastic. So absolutely use your resources in stuff that will help you build or continue growing your account. Don't waste resources getting gold because you get a ton of gold in the beginning. But the other side of that is, again, don't waste your gold because you will need it. As you can see, I've got like 300,000 or 200,000. And it's because I'm constantly evolving my phantoms and it takes a ton of gold to do that. So the only time you want to spend resources on gold is when a quest is saying, hey, go run the treasure trove. Then absolutely go run the treasure trove. But in the very beginning, you don't need to run the treasure trove unless it's for a quest. But as you start getting into the part of the game where you're starting to evolve your champions and you're starting to use that gold on the stuff that's important, then that's when you're going to want to start hitting the treasure trove and the goblin trove and things like that. The rich goblin is a good one as well, and it's actually better because it gives you more resources or more gold versus the resources you're spending. So really good. But keep that in mind when you first start out. All right, so let's move to number 7. Which number 7 is kind of something I've already gone over, which is the change button for runes. So if we go back in here and we look at our phantoms and we go to our runes. So like I said before, it's free to change these out. Well, how do I change them out? Well, that's simple. You hit the change button and then you can just compare apples to apples. So it's important to note that when you're doing this, depending on what location you're at, shows you what runes are available for that location. So just keep that in mind when you're going through here. And so if I want to see if I've got a better rune for that, first off, I just click on that. And then I can do a side-by-side comparison between these two. So as long as I'm okay with resistance instead of accuracy, which I'm getting accuracy +4 here, but I am losing speed, which speed is very good too. So I wouldn't be losing any accuracy at all because I've got a total of 4 accuracy and 3 speed. For this one, I get 4 resistance, 4 accuracy, and 4 crit damage. So that's definitely going to be an upgrade for this champion. So, I mean, that's definitely worth the change. And there it is. I just push the button. It changes it. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing else you need to do. So always make sure that you're going in and checking each of your champions, especially when you get an influx of runes, like you open a bunch of boxes or do a bunch of grind through the Phantom Abode or Demon Fortress. So just keep that in mind. Always check for better gear, or better runes, because that's going to help evolve your account and help grow and get past those annoying locations that are just, let's face it, not correct for whatever level that you're supposed to be at. So yeah, so always look for that. All right, so next on our list, number 8 would be don't level your gear past like 3 or 6 unless it's for a quest or a daily reward. All right, so you can see a lot of my gear here is anywhere from level 3 to level 6. There's a reason for that. All right, so when you're leveling gear, like for instance, this gear has two extra stats. This one has 2 extra stats. If I level it up, I get a boost at 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. And the reason I say don't level it up past that is because as you're leveling your actual phantoms and champion, you're gonna eventually outgrow this gear and start getting better gear. So you don't want to spend a lot of resources leveling up gear when eventually you're gonna get something like this, which is a purple or even a legendary piece. So as you start growing your gear or growing your account, you're going to get better gear because it's just the natural evolution of the game where you're getting into higher dungeons. You're able to run hard modes. I mean, just all kinds of different scenarios of where you're going to get that better gear. And when you're actually doing that, you're going to start switching gear out. Now you can always pass your lower level gear to lower level phantoms as they're leveling up, but eventually you're going to get to a point where you're just not going to need that gear and you're going to start feeding it to other runes to make them get better. So you don't want to waste resources leveling up your low level gear because eventually you're just going to feed it to higher level gear. So don't waste a lot of resources on it. All right, number 9 is flat stats are definitely okay in the beginning. Most content creators, even myself, have said this. Percentage stats are way better than flat stats when it comes to things like when it comes to things like physical attack, physical defense, magic defense, things like that. Yeah, it's just better. But the thing is, it's better the further down the line you get. And the reason why I say that, because the percentage is based off whatever your base stat is. So 1% of 100 is 1. So it's only going to add an extra 1 to something that's only got 100 in the stat. Where plus 20 flat stat gives you more. So keep that in mind, guys. In the beginning, it's going to be better. A flat stat is gonna be better. And because it doesn't cost you any resources to change out your gear, once you start getting higher level and your base stats go up, then those percentages mean more. They actually add more. So once you get to mid game or late game, then that's when you're going to want to start working those flat stats out of your gear. You're going to want to start converting everything from flat stats to percentage stats. So just keep that in mind, guys. Flat stats aren't as evil as everyone say they are. I mean, once you get to end game, then they're the devil. But in the beginning, they're useful, very, very useful. All right, so don't just automatically sell them in the beginning. All right, now finally, number 10, the term user is referring to the phantom that's using that ability. All right, so this was something that was very confusing to me, and I mentioned this on another video as well. So let's look at the Sea Conqueror here. If we look at her, let's look at her fourth ability here, her passive. It says, at the end of the user's turn, there is a 15% chance of receiving an additional turn. Okay, so my mind automatically went to, because I'm thinking thematically, right? I'm thinking thematically for the game. The game is you're a summoner that summons these phantoms to fight with you. So I'm thinking thematically that I'm the user because I'm using these phantoms to attack. So I'm questioning, does this mean me as the summoner is the user or the user of this ability? The answer is the user of this ability. So anytime you have a phantom that has this terminology in their ability, then it always means this user being this phantom, the one using the ability that it's talking about, that it's written on. So like this one. So just keep that in mind. That's my number 10. That's one of the things that always frustrated me. There's a lot of things about the game that really frustrates on how it's wording. But if you could get past that, it's a fantastic game. So just try to, I mean, and here's the great part. Here's the great part. It's a great community. So just reach out to their Discord. If you have a question, if something's worded weird and you just don't quite understand it, then absolutely reach out to the community on the Discord and they will be happy. Everyone's happy to answer any questions you may have, or put your question in the comment of any one of my videos. And if I don't know the answer, I will find out for you and I will answer you on my channel. So I'll be happy to do that for you guys. So just keep that in mind. But that's pretty much it for this video. It was just going to be a quick, short and sweet video of my top 10 things that I wish I knew when I first started. So if there's anything that you wish you knew about when you first started, if you're more of a in-game player or mid-tier player, tell us what you found out or what you learned and wish you would have known when you first started. And if you like the video and want to see more, hit the like button and join the Hive by hitting the subscribe button. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.